So at this point, I really think that GWPs are probably some of the most, if not the most controversial sets that LEGO makes for Star Wars, and in this video, I want to rank all of them. This is something I've been wanting to do for quite a while at this point. Now, if you're someone that doesn't know what GWPs are, it stands for Gift with Purchase, and basically they're just complimentary sets that are given away for free in a certain time period for either the launch of a UCS set or the launch of a large LEGO Star Wars wave. And it's like if you buy a UCS set within the first 3 days of its launch, you'll get a GWP included in your order for free, or if you spend a certain amount of money on a large LEGO Star Wars wave on its drop day, you might also get a gift with purchase included in your order. But without further ado, I have a total of 12 sets to get through, and before we get into it, I want to make it clear that I am not including poly bags, and I am also definitely not including any minifigure GWPs either. I'm only including the actual sets that they release every 6 months. But jumping right into it at the number 12 spot, I'm pretty sure this is a no-brainer for most of you guys. It's of course 40771 TIE Fighter with Imperial Hanger Rack. This was the gift with purchase for the $1,000 UCS Death Star that just released in October, and for a number of reasons, it's widely regarded to be the worst GWP ever made. And the main problem I have with it is that this set in the first place really just shouldn't exist, because it should have been a part of that UCS Death Star to begin with. And honestly, if you have that Death Star without this TIE Fighter, and specifically the extra minifigures that are included in it, the Death Star on its own feels kind of incomplete, and that really sucks because this TIE Fighter was only available if you bought the Death Star within, I'm pretty sure, the first week of its release. It doesn't feel like a complimentary add-on to a purchase, it feels like a necessity for the purchase, which is something I'm just not a big fan of at all. I've used this analogy before, and I'm gonna use it again. To me, this TIE Fighter GWP is like LEGO had a whole entire pizza, which is the Death Star, and they took out a pre-existing slice of that pizza, which is the TIE Fighter, and they made that one slice exclusive. I mean, that's genuinely how I see this set, because it just should be a part of the Death Star, and the GWP should have been something else that's complimentary like every other set on this list. But no, LEGO really had to do fans dirty. Anyways though, up next at the number 11 spot, I have one that's kind of a fan favorite, however it's just never really appealed to me that much, that being Yoda's lightsaber from 2020. And if you don't know, this set was the gift with purchase for the Master Builder series Mos Eisley Cantina. I'm not sure how long it was available for, probably the first 3 days of that set's release, because that's usually the standard. But I just think this set is kind of bland. It's not bad, but it's just not very intriguing or eye-catching either. It's a good idea, don't get me wrong. I mean, LEGO did a few other lightsaber GWPs, as you'll see later on in this list, but this one I just think is kind of the blandest out of the bunch. Again, it just doesn't really stick out to me. But now making our way into the top 10, at the number 10 spot, I have 40333 Battle of Hoth 20th Anniversary Edition. This set was the gift with purchase for the May 2019 wave, with orders of $75 or more, and it was only available for 3 days. And this is one of multiple micro scale sort of dioramas that LEGO made as GWPs, and I'm actually a big fan of the other ones, as you'll see later on in this list, but this one I'm just not a big fan of. I mean, honestly, I think the main thing is just the head of the AT-AT, because it's so small compared to the rest of the body. And I mean, I know we're working at a micro scale here, so it's kind of harder to make these vehicles look good, but at the same time, LEGO has made other miniature scale AT-ATs that look a lot better than this one does. But I mean, other than that, I think the rest looks good. The snow speeders are awesome, the shield generator looks good, and I also like these sort of very subtle mounds of snow within the terrain, but man, that AT-AT is just rough. Anyways though, up next at the number 9 spot, I have 40591 Death Star 2 from 2023. This was the GWP for the May 1st wave of that year, and it was available for 3 days if you made an order of $150 or more. And like Yoda's lightsaber, this is another fan favorite. However, also like Yoda's lightsaber, it's just never really stuck out to me that much. Now don't get me wrong, it's not a bad set in any way. I think the concept of it is great, and for the most part it looks good. It's definitely a fun little set to display on like a desk or a nightstand or something, but I mean, again, just compared to the other sets on this list, it just doesn't stick out to me that much, but that in no way means it's a bad set. Up next at the number 8 spot, I have another lightsaber, that being 40483 Luke Skywalker's lightsaber from 2021, and this was the gift with purchase for the UCS AT-AT, and in my opinion, this one is significantly better than the Yoda's one that I talked about earlier. It's still not the best, you'll see the best later on in the video, but it still looks really good. It resembles Luke Skywalker's lightsaber, and unlike Yoda's, it's actually pretty eye-catching because the level of detail on it is pretty impressive, and I just simply think it's a great display piece and a really solid gift with purchase. Anyways though, up next at the number 7th spot, I have 40407 Death Star 2 Battle, and this was the gift with purchase for the May 1st wave of 2020, with purchases of $75 or more, and I don't really have a whole lot to say about it. It definitely looks a lot better than the Hoth one that I just talked about, The greebling and the detail of the surface of the Death Star 2 looks really good, along with the towers and the cannon in the back, and the Starfighter models actually look good too, even though the TIE Interceptor might be slightly oversized relative to the A-Wing. And also another thing I like about it is that it's actually pretty dynamic in terms of its posability, because if you want, you can kind of move the Starfighters around and place them wherever you want to, so I think that is really nice. But yeah, other than those few things, I don't really have much to say about this one. Moving on to the number 6 spot, I actually have another miniature set, that being 40362 Battle of Endor from 2019. And this set was the gift with purchase for purchases of $75 or more during Triple Force Friday in October of 2019. And I have to say, I freaking love this set. The look of the ATSTs sort of lurking through the trees on this build is just so cool to me. I mean, I really don't know how else to put it. I just think it's awesome at a miniature scale. And then also on the other end there, if you look, you have the Endor bunker, which looks really cool too. But man, the main highlight to me at least is just the ATSTs. I don't know what it is. Again, it's just something about them walking through the trees that looks cool to me. But as cool as I do think that set is, I still don't think it's the best miniature GWP they've made, because at the number 5 spot, I have 40451 Tatooine Homestead from 2021. This was a gift with purchase for the May 1st wave of that year with purchases of $85 or more, and like the Endor one I just talked about, I think this thing looks amazing. However, the reason I put it one spot higher, and also the reason I think it's the best, is just because there's so much going on. First of all, I want to say all of the terrain work looks really good, especially the mountains in the back. I just love how it looks at a miniature scale like this, and they did a great job with all of those cheese slopes. And then on the left side, you have the Sandcrawler deal going on with Obi-Wan Kenobi, Luke Skywalker, and the Jawas, and C-3PO and R2-D2, and all of them. You got a moisture evaporator tower there in the back, and then on the right side, you got Luke Skywalker's home along with his lane speeder. And then my favorite part about the build is the pit of the Lars family homestead there in the middle. I just think it was really cool how they were able to include that. And then again, along with everything else I mentioned, it all just looks really good. It's a really good looking sort of miniature diorama and a nice display piece. And speaking of the Lars family homestead, up next at the number 4 spot, I have 40531 Lars family homestead kitchen from 2022. This was the gift with purchase for the May 1st wave of that year with purchases of $160 or more. And if I'm not mistaken, obviously excluding the minifigure poly bags, I think this was the first GWP set to include a minifigure, obviously being Luke Skywalker's aunt there. But I have to say, I really like this one. I'm a huge fan of interior builds when they're done good like this. In terms of what you can do with it, it's not very dynamic with any functionalities or anything. It's mainly just a display piece, but I love all the detail they were able to pack into the countertop and the shelves in the back, and I also think the minifigure fits really well into it. But I mean, other than that, I really don't have much to say about it. I just think it's a really solid set. But now making our way into the top 3, at the number 3 spot, I have 40730 Luke Skywalker's lightsaber from 2024. This set was the gift with purchase for the UCS sail barge within the first 3 days of that set's release, I'm pretty sure. And man, this thing is just beautiful. It's easily the best lightsaber GWP LEGO has made. I mean, I think it's way better than the other two ones that I talked about. And I mean, I think the main part of that just has to do with the design of Luke Skywalker's lightsaber in episode 6 in the first place, because it's definitely just one of the cooler lightsaber designs, and then LEGO of course represented it pretty much perfectly here. I love the hints of gold, I love the buttons on the side, I love these sort of stripes from the handle to the top. It just all goes together so perfectly. I mean, they just did a great job on this. Anyways though, up next at the number 2 spot, I have probably the most popular GWP that's released in recent years, and a huge fan favorite, and one that most of you guys would probably put at the number 1 spot, that being 40686 Trade Federation Troop Carrier from 2024. This was the gift with purchase for the May 4th wave of that year with purchases of $160 or more, and as a set, this thing is really good. It's a nod to the original droid carrier from 2001, I believe. That's why it's in brown and also sort of has that vintage LEGO Star Wars look, which I think was really cool of them to do, because I honestly think the brown looks super good. And then of course you also get battle droid pilots and the number of battle droids to go on the back of the droid carrier. So again, as a set, it's really good. And honestly, in terms of just LEGO sets in general, it's probably the best one on this list. However, the reason I have it at the number 2 spot and not the number 1 spot is because it works really good as a set, but doesn't work that good as a gift with purchase. And the reason is because, well, if you haven't noticed, so far as we've gone throughout this list, all of the sets have been pretty niche, collectible type items that wouldn't really sell very well on their own, besides maybe the lightsabers. But this one, on the other hand, I think would have sold incredibly well on its own as a standard $30 set. And at the time, May 2024, a lot of people really wanted some type of Trade Federation set, and a cheap battle droid carrier like this would have done numbers. The community would have loved this thing, but it was a GWP that was only available for 5 days in May of 2024. 2024. And on LEGO Zen, I just don't think that was the best decision. I think they should have released this as a normal set and made the GWP something else. But then that of course leads us to the number 1 spot, and at the number 1 spot, in my opinion, the best GWP of all time so far is 40765 Camino Training Facility from this year, 2025. This was the gift with purchase for the May 1st wave of this year with purchases of $160 or more, and in my opinion, this is the absolute perfect GWP. First of all, it's very intriguing and just a great set overall, especially with those clone cadets, the very first time LEGO has ever made those figures before, and they actually went all out on them, which is something I was not expecting them to do. They gave them dual molded legs and they also gave them arm printing, which really surprised me. And then you have the Camino and Enforcer ship as the main build, which is really the reason that I think this is the perfect GWP, because as a whole, this is a very niche set with a very unrecognizable ship. I mean, I guarantee 99% of you guys did not even know what this ship was until this set came out, which makes it a perfect GWP because a ship like this obviously isn't very sought after, and if this set was on shelves, it probably would not sell very well, which makes it the perfect niche, unique, collectible add-on to a large purchase of LEGO Star Wars sets. So yeah, this was a no-brainer to be at the number 1 spot in my head. Anyways though guys, that is gonna do it for this video. Let me know what you think about my list down in the comments below. If you're new, please consider subscribing, and if you want to check out more of my videos, you can see the link on the screen right now.